So what happens if you take a pound of the world's strongest coffee and brew it down 10 times into just 8 ounces? Well, I've sure found out. Now, on the daily, I require a decent amount of caffeine just to be able to be a human. I decided to start a little experiment and see how strong I could actually make coffee. Now again, there should always be a disclaimer with these types of things. What I'm about to do in this video might be kinda dangerous, since we technically might be reaching some of the more... Caffeine isn't always something you should play with when you might have sensitivities. And we're making an extremely strong concentrated version of coffee. And if you just aren't capable of handling it, you could die. The actual lethal dose of caffeine kind of varies between person by genetics, weight, and general sensitivities. So it's kind of hard to actually put a real number on that, but you may know what yours is. Actually, I hope you don't know what yours is. Anyway, I'm going to be throwing around some loose math on what the actual caffeine content of this coffee is going to be, since it's kind of hard to exactly quantify. I can only get into average ballparks of what it should contain. Anyway, I'm gonna babble now, so let's go and cut to what actually happened. Alright, this is a very unscripted video where I make the world's strongest coffee and make it stronger, and here. We're going to be using Deathwish Coffee, and they make the bold claim that it's the strongest coffee in the world. The coffee pun's there. Can we get a coffee pun counter?
Well, that's one.
That's one. Alright, Jeff's going to keep track. Sadly enough, that was the only pun made of coffee that whole time. What a waste. This is Jeff, this is Evan. They like coffee, and Jeff works a lot of nights and relies on it, so we're gonna try to make something that shouldn't be done. We're gonna concentrate coffee. First things first, obviously, is to get the coffee out of the bag, which for some reason seems to be like a very difficult task for me. Yeah. Now that we're nice and cleaned up, now the next step is to grind these beans down even further using an immersion blender. Now, in theory, having a finer ground coffee means that more coffee particles will be suspended in the water, and thus making it even stronger than before, which means even more caffeine. So the more coffee I can get into the water, the stronger it will be. Seems simple, right? Now it's time for the not so fun part of just going through the process of boiling water over and over again, since we're using this small Chemex style pour over jar, vat thingy. So we put our coffee in, and what's important to get the strongest bit of coffee and the strongest flavor is to pour just a little bit on top at first, just to get a nice bloom going. Now, that's how you know I know what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about words like bloom. Yeah. So, that gets the flavors and the coffee activated and whatnot, and then, after a couple minutes, it's ready to pour for realsies and get the rest of the coffee going, and actually get it into the jar. So yeah, that's what I have to do, like 10 times. So after the first 32 ounces have brewed, you can already see how crazy dark this stuff is. It's so black. Look at it. It's like sucking the light out of the room. It's ridiculous. So we know that this is going to be strong, because the first bit is already ridiculously strong. I mean, they weren't kidding. This stuff's crazy. I mean, just look at it. It's like Batman approved or whatever. So after being already so impressed after the first batch, I pour that coffee on top of the grounds again, just to make sure that I get as much as I can out of those beans before moving on to fresh grounds. And already you can see it looks a little bit darker, and so does the foam. So now that we've done that, we're going to use some fresh beans and do this process again 10 times. So yeah, we're going to cut through some stuff. So now that I brewed the same coffee 10 times through, This is all that remains out of the original 32 ounces. We're less than half of the jar already. We're probably about a quarter of the jar. And to further concentrate this, we're actually going to boil it down to an even more thicker, viscous liquid. Okay, the time has come. I've boiled it off enough. Time to pour it back into the carafe without burning myself. So thick. After 32 ounces, this is all that remains. Just a shell of its former self. So this stuff is so dense, light does not pass through it. You can hold up this light straight to it and does not illuminate it at all. It's very dense. All right, the first pour goes to Evan. We have a very little amount,
Would you like me to tell
so I can't be too generous. That's a good start. Next bit goes to JF. There we go. Nice. You can get through any night of work now. Any night. Nice and thick.
Just Sarah.
You too, Micah. Come on.
All right, let's get in there. Let me get in there.
It smells terrible.
It's not too bad. Already.
Do we drink now? Must we?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you didn't have to chug it.
Oh,
Oh, geez, that is.
Not
Oh.
bad.
That's actually kind of wonderful.
That's pretty good.
no.
That is
I
the
like
strongest coffee I've ever tasted. Like, if you like very intense flavors, like
That's very viscous.
yeah.
Mm,
Wow.
Yes. Viscous.
Usually,
And
I
so
like
many other
having
things.
cream and sugar in my coffee only because I feel like it doesn't have enough in it, like enough flavor. But now I don't feel
So
like I
it's
need
plenty
it.
of flavor.
This has enough flavor to fix that. Jeff's just dying over there.
I'm glad you two are having a good
Straight to
time.
his head.
Woo! I bet we could still add the rest milk and sugar, and it would still be very coffee.
It tastes like if Dunkin' Donuts was distilled through a sock.
I'm insulted.
I love you though.
No, in all honesty, I'm impressed with how it came out. This is more than I hoped for. I thought
Tastes
it
better
would.
than I thought.
I thought it wouldn't be palatable. I thought it wouldn't be good, but yeah, this is impressive.
I'd drink it.
And he did.
Oh, and then it's gone. My work here is done.
It tastes like
Coffee.
you set the beans on fire and then you brewed them.
I mean, that's kind of what roasting is.
But I feel like I need it.
Careful, this is very potent. I'm a little concerned with like how potent it actually is, though. Evan's enjoying it, though.
And that's why the camera's on.
Although you finished yours.
Because I committed. I'm true to my word.
You are going to be very awake for the rest of the day.
I'm counting on it. So I can resent you for the rest of the time. 1 out of 10 coffees, what do you give it?
1 out of 10?
How much more coffee can you get than this
It's
coffee?
pretty coffee. Maybe a 7.
Ooh.
Too much to wasn't
Oh, well.
Like,
Oh no,
Just having a bad day.
I swear I'm having fun. No one coerced me by any means. No,
You want any more, Jeff?
I'm good.
Oh.
that's horrible.
Horrible.
That doesn't even taste like coffee anymore.
No, that is you because you're used to the sugary.
But I do
creamy
eat the
stuff.
I do drink sugary stuff. No, my
Aside
verdict
from
is no.
coffee bean. My heart feels good.
That's because it's going a mile.
We for the last bit of coffee, we added a little bit of milk and sugar, and well, they just had milk. I had a little sugar. It's way more palatable.
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah, like just that little bit, and I already feel like perfectly peppy now in comparison.
Perfectly peppy.
Like I only needed
A little warm.
half an ounce. Yeah, I feel extra warm now. Now let's try not to let our hearts explode. Well, that's it for torturing my friends with highly caffeinated beverages. If you like this video, you know what to do. Merch in the store below. I have links for that and stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think. I mean, obviously my math is going to be somewhat loosely interpreted since it's very hard to quantify how much actual caffeine is in a beverage without, you know, using science. I think I got it somewhat close. If you have any other ideas of how much caffeine was in there, let me know in the comments below. I am not overly proud or anything like that, so you can correct me if you find compelling evidence against me. All that kind of stuff. If you are curious what would happen if I were to brew it down even more, and you even go slower with this process, because this took me about I don't know, 2 hours to make or so, just those couple of ounces there. I think there was like a total of 8 ounces or so in the whole carafe at the end. Drink caffeine responsibly, kids. Don't follow my example. I'm just here for entertainment. Anyway, I think it's time to get some more coffee. See you guys.